The Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, has recently cleared 85 underage candidates for what is called exceptional admission into Nigerian tertiary institutions. Now, these candidates are reported, all fall under 16 years old as of September 2025. Now, these are the ones said to have successfully scaled and pulled through a rigorous screening process organized by JAMB out of a total of 41,027 candidates that applied for consideration under this special category. 599 scored an 80% threshold in the UTME, and after further scrutiny and interviews, 182 candidates emerged, with 85 making the final admissions list. So Searchlight this afternoon, we'll be looking into this development and the merits or demerits of JAMB's decision to grant this concession to exceptional underage candidates after initially setting and enforcing an age limit to deter underage admissions. To discuss the topic, JAMB admissions and underage exceptional candidates, I have with me in the studio a social worker. He is a child rights advocate and social activist, Comrade Kende Akinyemi. It's good to have you again on Searchlight, sir.
Good to be here. Thank you, Mr. Teriba.
Searchlight is our regular Thursday afternoon discussion program on Oluyole 98.5 FM on the stables of the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, where we beam the light on topical national and global issues. My name is Tola Teriba, your uncle. So now we go straight to business. Comrade Akinyemi. I'd like to start with this. Now, there is a lot of arguments and controversies over whether or not JAMB should continue to be a major determinant in the fate of university and other tertiary institutions admission seekers, and that JAMB and its bottlenecks has stopped many Nigerians from realizing or fulfilling their educational pursuits. Do you think JAMB has outlived its merits?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Tola. As it may, since the establishment of JAMB many years ago, they have been performing the role of student admission to universities and tertiary institutions. But along the line, there has been all kinds of opinion from different kinds of sectors. Some were saying that JAMB has overlived its purpose. Others were saying that it is still good that we continue to make use of JAMB. But let's look at it. Before JAMB, what was in place? What was in place was the universities arranging and organizing their admissions within their territory, and each university will put down conditions for admission. But when JAMB started, it became a unified system whereby all universities will have, and tertiary institutions will have to register with JAMB, and when JAMB conducts exams, JAMB will now send students to various universities. From our own point of view, the system is not bad, and we can still continue with it. But there is need for improvement in their activities and what they are doing. For example, look at the issue of the underage that we are discussing today. Normally, when the Nigerian Constitution says any one that is not up to 18 years is not recognized as an adult, they are still regarded as a child. And a child in the Constitution means someone who cannot take responsibility, who cannot decide for him or herself in issues that are germane in the life of a person. Now that we are looking at universities as a place for higher education, it is expected that those that will access such place should have at least become an adult to an extent. In the Constitution, we have children and young persons. Young persons start between the age of 17 years to 21. Okay. But children from 17 downward. So what I'm saying in essence is that any child that has not grown up to certain age will not have developed his mental development may not be enough to cope with the rigors of the university. University is not a kindergarten center where you can be spoon-fed. You have to be sure of yourself and be able to stand on your own. These days, parents have pampered some of these children to the extent that hardly can some of them be able to do some vital things by themselves. If not for, even when they are writing this down, come and see the whole place jam-packed with their parents standing around to ensure that they still give them a watching hand. Until they finish the exam, the parents will still be going up and down to monitor the results and all this and that. That is to show that these children were not matured enough to be admitted in the university.
Now, you say this, but remember, we live within a system whereby the authorities look the other way. When people within a particular region of the country marry off their daughters at the age of 12, 13, and they, especially people from that particular region, do not see anything wrong with this. Even their political leaders who are supposed to be educated. So that's why I said the Nigerian system that turns the other eye, that turns away.
I don't want us to generalize that it's a Nigerian system. It's not the whole of Nigeria that has that kind of practice. You know, Nigeria is divided into 3 main regions. The practice is mainly in the northern part of the country, and it's because the northern part is majorly Islamized. And Islam, as it is, recognize that once a child is matured enough to start menstruation, such a child will not be in the under the cover of his or her parent.
That's also debatable.
And it's debatable. What I'm saying in essence is that it is that tenant that they are holding on to. Whereas a child can start this menstruation at a very early age, like 10, 12, even these days. But in the olden days, when those things were even written in the Quran, children get maturity and start this menstruation and other things that women are supposed to be doing when they get to ages that are above like 17, 18 in those days. But a lot of development has occurred that made it to be faster in some children. Now, if we want to generalize, we cannot. I mean, I don't want to subscribe to the general opinion that it's the whole of Nigeria. No, because constitutionally, a Nigerian constitution, which reigns supreme over every other culture, norms, and other things, states that a child cannot be married off at an early age when he's not up to 18 years. Once that is in the constitution, then it supersedes whatever religious belief or traditional practices in any part of the country. So that's why I'm saying that don't make it a Nigeria thing. That what is happening in certain part of the country should also be taken as what the whole of Nigeria is practicing.
As far as what the law says, Comrade Aki, and I know you are well versed in the course of your career, you are familiar with child psychology. Now, what should be the ideal psychological and mental age for a young person, especially considering the peculiar Nigerian circumstances, to be admitted into a tertiary institution? I mean, when can the prospective candidate be deemed to be ready? That's aside what the law says. Aside what the law says.
If you are looking aside what the law says, if as a professional, I will recommend my own opinion. I will say any child that will be allowed to be admitted in the university should start from the age of 17 years, because 17 is the age that is regarded, even in the constitution, as a young person between the age of 17 and 21. That is to say that it is believed that once a child attains the age of 17, just a year before he becomes full-blown adult, then is still considered that at least is a bit getting to maturity age. So before he spend a year in the university to become a full-grown recommended adult by the constitution, then he will have adjusted.
Interestingly, I was 17 in my first year in university, but those were the days when
those days
5 years in the secondary school.
Even in your kindergarten school, before a child is able to even speak and talk, he will have been placed in preschool, KG1, KG2.
Now, in the rapidly expanding ICT and digital age, parents in a hurry and the commensurate school system appear to be burdening minors right from the cradle with heavy academic curricula and knowledge acquisition far beyond their mental and psychological capability. Just mentioned it now. And so, how worried are you about this and the possible impact on these young ones?
Well, I am worried because, number one, most parents take the issue of education of the children as regard, in terms of studying, reading, concentration on school activities. They play much on that and play less on the home training. Home training is equally much more important. Most of these children that we are talking about, some of them don't know how to cook. Some of them don't know how to even wash their clothes clean. Some of them don't know how to do some home chores very well, because their parents have prioritized education, formal education, their studies. Go and read your book. Go and do your assignment. Much more than home training, and it's eventually boils down to some of them getting, to an adult age and not being able to do certain things that are very important in the life of an adult. Like some ladies, there are some that don't know how to cook food, even up to the time that they get married. These are the reasons, because they based all the time their parents focus their attention on the formal academics.
And they are also unable to cope with the challenges of life because
definitely
they are psychologically prepared.
They are not psychologically they are not emotionally prepared, and even physically. So it affects a lot of them at adulthood. So this is the reason why we as a society should rethink the way we bring up our children. Don't pamper your children to an extent that all concentration will be on studies, reading, academics alone. Combine home training. Let them know how to greet, how to behave like a Yoruba well-trained child who will go out and they will not tell him or her that he lacks home training.
And aside from the value systems which you have emphasized here, I have seen a lot of these young ones are being overburdened with these academics. They go to school, go to class. After class, they have after school lesson. They come back home. They have to do their homework. They are dog tired by the time they are done. They just sleep off and all that. But I want to ask one thing, Comrade Akiyemi. Now, why would they want to worry about a child running or trotting when that child should just be learning how to walk? Now, maybe there are reasons for this. Maybe there are reasons why Nigerian parents are so much in a hurry. We are in this age, this digital age. So, do you also think the Nigerian education system has done the needful by way of bringing young people up to speed with the current and contemporary digital-driven realities of our world? Maybe this is why they are pushing these children so hard, both the school and the parents, to bring them up to speed, like I said, with the current realities of our rapidly expanding digital world.
We see development will continue to emerge, and as things are changing, we are in the digital era, and most of things that our children do these days, they copy and get examples from the online space. This has affected them as well, in that most things that they are supposed to do with their mental capacity, with their brain, they refer to, they turn to looking for answers and from the online space,
from devices,
and this has reduced the it has reduced the value system in a lot of in their behavior, in their relationship with other people, so I felt the school system should be regulated to in a way that it's not going to affect the maturity and development of a child, so that later in life such a child will be able to cope with what is expected of an adult, because a child that grows up in an environment where all he is exposed to is the digital gadgets, all he's exposed to is reading, taking time to study, and no moral, no parental training, no home training, it will eventually affect such a child, no matter what. When it happens like that, the blame will go to the parents, because the home that the parent come from determines what kind of an adult such a child becomes.
Like we're talking about the device-driven age. Well, definitely you don't expect anyone to start cramming the multiplication table
these days
2 times table to 12 like we did.
Nowadays,
start cramming that again.
It's not expected, but it's not that it will be totally eradicated. In our days, we learn poems, poetry, all those things help our cognitive and mental development, which are now out of place, because the world has changed and we are also changing along with the world. But I want to recommend that the school system should not totally erase those ways by which we were trained in those days. It should not be total. So there should be a regulatory system by which some of these, in those days, when you get to school, the first thing you do is to recite some poems in Yoruba or in English, and these poems has meaning. They are to tell you that there are certain things you must not left undone. Like you remember the a Yoruba poem, things like that. You see, by the time up till now, those of us that passed through those ages, we still remember those poems, and it's still a source of a guide in whatever we do. So that gives us indication that those things should not be totally wished away.
Well, now so much nostalgia you are whipping up here, Komendaki. I remember in those days, nowadays, for instance, if your parents had to ask you 6 times 6, it'd be sacrilegious for you not to answer immediately.
Immediately, because your brain is already prepared.
And it used to be a thing of pride.
But these days, your child
to the device.
Come to a device and go and press their device.
And well, I remember it used to be a thing of pride if you could recite the multiplication table up to 12 at that time. And then, well, my mother, well, God rest her soul, I remember in those days she would sit on a chair. She had this long whip made from the bark of a tree, and she would draw a line. You must not step past that line. She would ask you to start reciting the multiplication table. And then, God help you.
If you miss any,
the whip will land right at the back of your neck.
Yes.
So, okay, having said that now, and back to JAMB. Now, do you think JAMB did a good job with its criteria for determining exceptional underage candidates considered for these admissions? And shouldn't such criteria include appropriate counseling to prepare the underage psychologically for the challenges ahead? The only thing JAMB did, as far as I know, was that they put them through rigorous examinations. So they had to do exams after exams. After JAMB, they had to subjected to test their mental capability, and not mental capability in terms of the psychological ability to cope, but mental capability in terms of academic prowess.
Academic prowess, yes. In my own opinion, you see, JAMB already has a policy, put down a policy that there won't be admission for any candidate that is below 16 years. Once such a policy is in place, I don't know why they have to look at exceptional cases.
Well, gifted children.
Yeah, you see, when you are saying there are gifted children, right? I agree, but they are gifted in their mental capacity much more than their peers. But that is not to say that their maturity is equally up to the standard and level at which they should face the rigors of the university. I would prefer, in my opinion, I would prefer that once the policy is that once a child is not up to certain age, they should stay by that policy. And I mean, what is the worry about when you are now admitting a child that is 15 years, that is 14 plus, because he's brilliant, because he's an exceptional child, because his brain can answer some tough questions, but is he matured enough to face the rigors
But
that is where I am up against. Because by the time he gets to that university, he will meet up with some grown-up adults who might become bullies, terrors, who might be using that child as, you see, they have such child at home as their junior ones. And the way they treat their junior ones at home, they want to be sending him, go and buy me this and that. And a child that is not used to that at home, what will happen? He has a child that has not been allowed to be going about making friends and all that. He's now finding himself in the midst of a 20, 18, 19-year-old. They are in the same class. And here you are at 15, that you gain admission together. So naturally, the child will feel kind of I mean, the child will not be well enough to mix with, because he can't address some of them as by their names.
Well, I actually experienced them, some of what you are saying.
In your own days, because you entered the university early.
At the age of 17.
You will meet up with some of your colleagues in the class that are older up to be your brothers at home.
And when they discovered my age and others like me, they became hostile. They had been friendly before.
Definitely.
They became hostile. But then,
if you have the stature to meet up with them, they may not know from the beginning. But by the time they start getting to know your age and looking at them, they will be so hostile with you, and they will treat you as a junior brother.
But then, having said that, I still believe there is a way to strike the balance. These young ones we are talking about, the gifted ones, so to say, they will be running the race up the academic ladder much faster than their colleagues. Remember, even in those days, in primary, secondary school, we used to have what they call double promotion.
Double promotion, yes, up to secondary school.
So why can we not now strike a balance if these ones want to be granted exceptional admissions? Now, this brings me to this matter, the story of Nigeria schools for gifted children. What happened to those schools? They were established at some point in time for a purpose. Is it that they didn't achieve those objectives? And can we also not have universities for gifted
exceptional children?
Exceptional children.
You see, from my own observation, what happens to the exceptional schools that were established in those days is the same thing that has been happening to, I would call it the Nigeria system, whereby when government has good intention and roll out a policy that will favor the citizens, those who are in charge of that, the implementation and execution of that policy, they are the ones that will be responsible for its either survivor or dead. So it is the Nigerian system that affected the continuity and growth of the exceptional brilliant student schools that were put up. You know, I'm talking in terms of corruption, nepotism, all those things, manipulations. So it is the Nigerian system that affected, because it would have been very good if we continue like that. Then we will know that such exceptionally brilliant children will have a special school where they will be educated. Then when it comes to a point that they are supposed to be admitted in the university, consideration will also be given to their age, not when the child is 15 years. It will just be pushed to, because it's an exceptional child. Then, like I said, the psychological and emotional development will be there.
But it looks to me, or I said it before, like it looks to me like the exceptional underage candidates have to run through multiple exams and procedures to determine their suitability. Now, if this is going to continue to be, now, shouldn't JAMB and the tertiary institutions be working together on this? Now, lest an underage who is cleared as exceptional by JAMB is found unfit by the university at post-UTME, or is there an understanding that those cleared by JAMB would be spared the rigors of post-UTME organized by the universities? They will still have to go through post-UTME.
Very sure, yes. Well, I want to say that there is every need for both the for JAMB and the institutions to have a kind of synergy whereby the system of JAMB and the school system will be will in a way match together in order to allow these children to meet up with the standard that the school expected. All the schools don't have the same criteria. When you look in terms of cutoff point, some will determine their cutoff point at certain point, while others may bring it down a bit or bring it up in other schools. I think this should be there should be a way by which both the institutions and the JAMB as a body will have a kind of a synergy, so that these children will not, a child that is admitted in University of Ibadan will not feel that he cannot be admitted in University of Lagos because the policy and the criteria for admission in University of Lagos is tougher than the one in Ibadan. Or let us look at faculties. A child is admitted for law, having scored certain number of points. Then somebody who scored more than that will not be admitted for medicine. So all those things should be there should be a way by which both the institution and JAMB will have a round table agreement discussion, so where they can synergize and make sure that things are regulated. There should be a regulatory system between both JAMB and the higher institutions.
And it must also be that whoever is gifted in Ibadan must also be gifted
in any part of the country. So there shouldn't be. In fact, I remember that the system of giving priority to those who are in the north,
federal
character system, is one of the things that is bringing us back in this country.
So we don't know.
If we are talking about Nigeria and say we are all one, why we use come up with a policy that a child that's scored 30% in the north will be given admission, while a child that scores 55% or 60% in the southern part of the country will be denied admission.
Educationally disadvantaged.
You are talking about educationally disadvantaged. What is the meaning of educationally disadvantaged? All of us are supposed to be trained with the same curriculum, and is there a difference between the curriculum they are using in the southern part of the country and those being used in the northern part of the country? Is it not the same Federal Ministry of Education that roll out the curriculum?
So in those areas where the scores, admission scores are lowered, and then the standards are lowered to help the so-called disadvantaged, educationally disadvantaged. So how do you now identify and sift the gifted children? The criteria for identifying gifted children, does it mean, I'm just wondering aloud, does it mean it would be different from what we have down south? The criteria for identifying gifted children over there, they must definitely have their own gifted children. But
definitely.
But where you have this kind of I mean, how does
disparities?
So, what criteria would be used to determine the gifted children in those areas? I'm just wondering aloud, Comrade Akinyemi.
Well, to me, I think, like we have been saying, once a policy is rolled out, the policy should be the same. And one of the criteria that they will use in determining the exceptional children or child in the south should be the same criteria that should be used in the northern part of the country. So there shouldn't be a kind of a disparity whereby some will be given priority over others in terms of score, in terms of age, in terms of development or whatever. So the same way a child is treated in the southern part of the country should be the same way. That is why the backwardness in the north is becoming much more rampant. Yes, because it's like you are just giving them room to be lazy. Yes, because they won't want to catch up with their peers in other parts of the country if we continue to tag them as being educationally disadvantaged. What makes them to be educationally disadvantaged? Is it not because the majority of their children their parents over there don't send their children to school? Rather than giving them such priority, we should encourage children to be sent to school, encourage parents to send their children to school, government should provide whatever is required to attract the children to be in school. That will help them a lot to develop, to grow and match up with their peers in other parts of the country, rather than just leaving them to be referred to as being educationally disadvantaged, and then pampering them with lower scores. Whereas those who are their peers in the other parts of the country, they must ensure that they read and they perform very well to meet up admission.
All right, it's still Searchlight on Oluyole 98.5 FM. We'll go for this short break. We'll be back. Right, it's good to know you are still there. This is Oluyole 98.5 FM on the stables of the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State. The program is Searchlight, and we are discussing the topic JAMB admissions and underage exceptional candidates. JAMB admissions and underage exceptional candidates. And now within the studio, a social worker, is a child rights advocate and social activist, Comrade Kende Akinyemi. Now to be part of the program Searchlight this afternoon on Oluyole 98.5 FM. We welcome your questions and contributions. Number to call 070 5555 1985. 070 5555 1985. You can also try to reach us on 080 5500 9850. 080 5500 9850. Comrade Akinyemi, you also, in the course of our discussion, you mentioned corruption,
yes,
which has been the bane of trying to create special schools for gifted children. Now, this matter of granting exceptional admissions to exceptional JAMB candidates. Now, this has been spearheaded by JAMB itself, and then supposing that kind of synergy we are talking about does exist between JAMB and the tertiary institutions, and they all are able to agree on which candidate is actually gifted. Now, that monster you mentioned, the matter of corruption, manipulations, malpractices in the process. Do you have any idea in mind? Do you have any strategy in mind by which the process could be made foolproof and insulated from these manipulations and malpractices, to have an impeccable system for these exceptional underage people, the children who will be going into the universities and other tertiary institutions?
Like I postulated in the beginning, that there should be a way by which there should be a synergy between the institutions and JAMB. My recommendation is that a kind of checks and balances should be put in place. Those who are to oversee the running of activities and execution of those policies, there should be a kind of monitoring team that will not allow them to do whatever they like in terms of doing it right or wrong. So by the time they are executing policy and turning things the other way around in order to favor their pocket, then this monitoring team will show up and let the authority know what is going on. So the fear will be there. But in a situation where appointments are made in this country to favor some set of individuals, maybe because you want to you want to be a good leader to certain set of group, then you just appoint anyone among them to go and oversee. Then putting the right peg in the right hole is another very important point, because in this country we don't consider what you are good at before you are being appointed in a position, in a situation where somebody, I have seen a state commissioner that was appointed to oversee a ministry of social development, Ministry of Women Affairs, and about 4 or 5 departments were merged together to form the Ministry of Women Affairs. Social welfare is there, community development is there, child welfare is there, and other adjoining departments. By the time they are now making appointments, they now went to appoint somebody who is a women leader in their party. Woman leader in their party. But when you look at the profession of such a person, you now see that is somebody who has a beer parlor, or he only played a role of mobilizing people for the party when they were doing campaigning. You now just appoint such a person as a commissioner. So what are you expected? I mean, what do we expect of such a person to do? And is the overall authority in the ministry, a ministry that is supposed to play a role that will affect development of children in the community, which will give us what kind of adult we are breeding in the future. So when things go wrong from the beginning like that, what do we expect?
Commander Kemi, I want to draw a little line between exceptional children and gifted children. By gifted children, I want to talk about those who can categorize as geniuses. You may be exceptional without being a genius. So now, I don't know if you've come across this kind of children before in your career. These children who can refer to as moving transformers, heavily loaded transformers, and when you don't manage them well, just like a transformer could explode if you don't manage it well. that is the way that these children are with what they know. And like I said, they run the race up the ladder much faster than their colleagues.
Than their peers.
So that they begin to seem abnormal. These are children that would be able to solve math arithmetic problems that even the teacher cannot solve. So in this kind of situation, where lies the role of the guardians and counseling units in contemporary times in supporting these children right from the elementary or secondary school? And from what I know from my investigation, it doesn't seem as if these units are very active again in elementary and secondary schools.
You see, in those days, the unit of guidance and counseling were very, very much effective. And right from the classroom, a class teacher will be the one to identify such a child. And once you identify child that are fast-moving trained than their peers, then it now becomes the job of the guidance and counseling teachers to now be observing and take over the development of such a child in a way that it will not, mental development will not be mismanaged in a negative manner. So if that is in place, the section of guidance and counseling is in place and they are playing their role very well, like it was, it used to happen in those days when it was just in practice, things will be better for the children to cope very well with their gift and the exceptional gift that God has given them. But in a situation where the Department of Guidance and Counseling are no longer expected playing the expected role that they were supposed to, then the effect is manifesting.
Right, we have this call. Let's quickly take it. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Oh.
Hello.
All right.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Please go ahead.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Oh.
Yes.
Well, our time is fast, unfortunately. Quickly, your final word to parents and guardians on this matter. Let's just say that the issue of exceptional admissions for underage candidates is a done deal. So, your final word to parents and guardians and educational institutions.
I agree that it's a done deal, but I want to advise the parent and guardian to a call.
Apologies for that breaking transmission. Right, your final.
Yes, I want to advise the parents and guardian to double their role, not to just leave these children to face the rigor. Because a child is brilliant at a younger age and is exceptional among his peers, does not mean that parents should just look away and just allow them to do things on their own. They should. Especially, I talked about home training. They should imbibe home training that will allow such a child, when he goes out to the public, they will see that child as a child that is well trained, that has home training, because it's an aberration when a child is being told that he lacks home training, and it boils down to the parents.
Well, it's been an interesting time on Searchlight this afternoon, and my guest has been Comrade Kende Akiyemi. He's a child rights advocate. He's a social worker, and well, we've been discussing the issue of JAM's exceptional candidates and admissions for exceptional candidates. We'll be back same time next week, Thursday, with another interesting topical issue. My name is Tola Teriba, your anchor on the program. Bye-bye.
Number one for hip hop and R&B. Tell them niggas, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Hey, tell them niggas, hold up. 98.5. Oluyole. It's going down. FM.